All right. Hello. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the end of the week. Welcome to the Friday live stream. Right now, you got Tom. George is going to be joining us shortly. He was in the car speeding home. Not speeding, if anybody, officers are listening. Driving home. So he should be joining us in a bit. We'll talk about the day. We'll talk about the week that was. A lot of stuff went on. Today was a strange one. And it's like Christmas over here. We got some green, we got some red. So a mixed bag with the Bitcoin miners. Today, this week, there was no mixed bag. It was just down, down, down. And the trend continues. So this is, I think, now week 6 of Bitcoin. You know, Bitcoin's moved down a little bit. Bitcoin miners have moved down a lot. Tomorrow's update is going to look brutal. The weekend update that I do every weekend. I'll show you last weekend's in a few minutes, and then tomorrow I'll put out this weekend's. It's going to be ugly. Old Jock saying, evening all, was just looking at Mawson's chart, and it looks like the share price has lost over 99.99% since March of 2012. And, I mean, I didn't go that far back, but you don't have to go too far back. That stock is getting absolutely decimated. I did buy a few stocks this week, surprisingly little. I've been buying in, I have been dollar cost averaging in pretty consistently every week for the last 6 weeks. This week was less than average. I did do a bunch of limit buys, and I missed a bunch. So they were on some of the smaller stocks, and on the smaller stocks, for me anyway, I will not, if I buy, if I'm buying shares of Riot, honestly, I will do a market, because I've never, on something like Riot or Marathon that's traded that heavily, a tenth of a penny or something, it doesn't miss. Whatever the price you're looking at, that's what you get. But on some of the smaller stocks, there can be a big difference between the bid-ask. So if you just do a market order, you can get crushed, whether that's by 3% or 5%, or, if you get super unlucky. I've seen people pay 50% extra just by accidentally putting in a market order on a stock that does not trade or trades on very, very low volume. So I did put a bunch of the limit orders in. I missed most of them this week. So hopefully, I'll get my opportunities next week and keep going. But I have been consistently, Crypto Craig is saying, where is George? He will be joining us shortly. He was driving home when I talked to him about 20 minutes ago. And so as soon as he gets in front of his computer, he will join us. So hopefully that's in a few minutes. All right. So if you have not yet, if you could please, as I smash my face on the microphone, if you could please smash the like button. It helps the live stream out a lot. We have 16 likes right now. We always try for 100 likes. It helps spread the stream. We had a rough week. Let's see if people can show up to the stream and talk about it. I don't want to even commiserate. I think there's a lot. I still think there's a lot of good stuff to talk about, but we will acknowledge some of the train wrecks that happened this week as well. I mean, I want to ignore reality. Hold on, I got to get my chat back on the screen. There we go. All right, I'm multitasking. Usually when George is here with me, he handles the chat and I talk. So let's see. Let's just say hello to a few people first. I want to just going to say hello to a few members who have left some comments. So first of all, we do have a membership. So let me just thank all the existing members for keeping us going through what has been a tough 6 weeks lately. We had a nice run. We had a good 6 months, but last year obviously was brutal. So hello, Sour Melon Gaming was apparently first. Old Jock was second. Calvin Crypto said hello. Woodstock, hello. Hello, Crypto Fever. Hello, Miguel. Jay. Let's see. Crypto Craig. I think those are the people who are members who have left a comment. I do see some other familiar names of people who are probably subscribers who have been with us for a long time. So hello to everybody. Remember to smash the like button. We just went from 16 to 23 likes. That is a good start. 100 really gets us where we're going on the live stream. So it's much appreciated. It is free to hit the like button. If you are not subscribed to the channel, if you're brand new here, or if you've been here and you're not subscribed, if you can do us a big favor, if you're willing to, if you can subscribe, it also helps the channel out a lot. So that is much appreciated. Miguel is saying Cleanspark have only 3 green days in August. Was that true? I mean, I'll have to double check that. Yeah, I mean, it's been a rough month. August was rough. The last few weeks of July were rough. The first few weeks of July, it's so long ago now, maybe a lot of us have forgotten, but the first few weeks of July were phenomenal. Massive, massive gains. So the second 2 weeks were not good. All of August has been pretty tough for the most part. Some have been worse than others, but you know, everything's down 30%, 40%. There's a few that are down even significantly worse than that. So we'll go through some of those large cap versus small cap. I do want to say, anybody who has not watched my interview with Jason Less, Jason is the CEO of Riot. He was nice enough to come on the channel. We had a very long talk. I thought, you know, he didn't leave anything on the table. He answered all my questions. I asked him all the questions that, you know, we talked about on the channel. I asked the members, was there anything specific? So I don't think I left any questions out. And, you know, he was not afraid to answer them. And, you know, there were some tough questions, and he gave tough answers. So I thought that was a good job on his part. I appreciate him coming on and doing that. And just views have been down recently due to the lack of, I won't say lack, I think due to the fatigue of this sideways activity and, you know, this period of time where things are going down. I find myself in the same boat where, you know, sometimes the last thing you want to do when you know your portfolio didn't have the greatest day is you're not really pumped up to go watch a video about it. So, you know, that's part of what's happening right now. But I do think if you did miss that video with Jason, it's very, very much worth watching. And also, I will be having Fred from Marathon is coming on in September. So I'm just giving everybody a heads up on that. I'll have an exact date, but Fred will be on in early September. So very much looking forward to that. Fred is the CEO of Marathon, as most of you probably know. So we'll be talking to him. And so before that time, we will go through and talk about what we want to ask him. And then we'll obviously, with the members only session, we'll come up with some specific questions. I try to ask at least one specific question from the members in these interviews. You know, and it's got to be a question that they can answer. I don't like to ask them questions that, you know, because they're publicly traded, because they're, you know, have to follow the rules of the SEC. There's all kinds of information that they can't tell us. You know, they can't provide us insider information and that kind of stuff. But, you know, if it's fair game, then I like to ask the question. And obviously with all these miners, the way things have been going, there's a lot of questions that can be asked. Crypto Fever said, nice, looking forward to the Marathon interview. Nash V said, my covered calls are giving me a lifeline while I'm waiting for the next move up. So I know a lot of people are doing some covered calls. I saw some people selling puts. Specifically, somebody mentioned they were selling puts on Riot, and you know, that person happened to be doing it at the $9 strike point. Not financial advice, but that to me that seemed like a pretty good idea. Let's see. I don't know if we said hello to... Oh, hello, Edmund. Edmund said, hope Tom did not buy Midgie. I did buy Midgie. I said I was going to buy Midgie. I did buy Midgie. I did not get as much as I want, and I am going to buy more. I know Edmund disapproves of that greatly, but that is one of the ones. So the two that I've been putting limit orders in on, and I've been missing a lot, are Mawson, which is stock ticker MIGI, and I am not, just to be crystal clear, this is not financial advice. I'm not recommending these stocks. These two are very different, and, you know, I'm just going to talk a little bit about this because people got annoyed spending time on this last time, but I am buying Mawson, and I am buying I view those two stocks, I view those two companies as very, very, very different. One is a much more high-risk company than the other, in my opinion. Mawson is, these are obviously all high-risk, all the Bitcoin miners, but both of those are nano-cap stocks. They're, you know, fluctuating between $10 and $15 million market caps. Mawson does stand a risk of going out of business. So, but that has been true for quite some time now. So, you know, nothing's really changed from a narrative standpoint with them in the last week, other than their stock is just getting decimated. So it's a very risky investment. It's not like I'm putting all my money into it, but I do think I did talk about buying. So I have been putting some limit orders in. I've missed a lot. I wanted to have my positions filled out by now, but hopefully next week I'll get a chance to continue. But I did get some Mawson. I did get some Eni. I'm looking to add to those, but not financial advice, not a recommendation by any means. Craig Birch, welcome. Welcome to the channel. I'm not sure if you've been here for a long time. So your name's jumping out at me. I don't remember. Tell the CEOs that Nancy Pelosi wants to know. Oh, yeah. I'm not getting in the middle of that. DS Flat, ex-CEO Manning just resigned from Midgie. Maybe dumped his stock. Who knows? Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point, because this is a company that's been in my opinion, looking at their financial statements, they've been in trouble for a little while. So I'm not sure, and by a little while, I mean this quarter's financial statements are pretty much extremely similar to last quarter's, and neither one was good. So I'm not sure why last quarter nobody cared and the stock ran up. This quarter they kind of said the same exact thing, and the stock has gotten, we'll look at the chart. I mean, it's gotten decimated. It's under 50 cents right now. So I had a big limit order. Well, big is a relative term. Big compared to, you know, the amount that I'm willing to invest in that. That is not going to be one of my major positions. But I had a limit order in for a bunch of shares, and I kept raising it, and I kept raising it. You know, it got down to 43 cents today. I was trying to really catch that. So at 43 cents, I put a limit order in for 45 cents, but it moved so fast, I got none at that. Then I changed it. I moved it up to 47. I missed that. I moved it up to 48.5. I got a partial fill at 48.5 cents. So that's really all the Mawson I've managed to buy. So I'm going to leave. Well, oh, sorry. George is saying he has no invite. That's my fault. Let me send an invite right now. Hello, welcome to George, who is in the chat on the stream, who apparently I didn't do my part and send an invite to. Give me 10 more seconds, George, and you will have an invite. Invite has been sent. You should have that now. Let me know if you don't see it in the next couple seconds. So hopefully that means George is on the brink of joining the stream. I would try to look at that, but I don't want to mess my stream up. So, all right, let me get back to the chat. All right. Edmund, Tom, why don't you look at buying Quant? It would be a great alternative to the miners. Stock ticker QNT. Let's recommend that one in the next members only live stream and see if that can be a members only deep dive.
Tom, I'm here. Hey, buddy.
George, welcome to the stream. Everybody can welcome George to the stream.
La la la.
La la la. George is here.
I was listening to your statement about Mawson.
Oh, yeah, they've had a tough run. I did manage to pick some up today.
I like Mawson over Endy. I'll tell you that.
I like, so we, as usual, George and I have differing opinions. I think Endy's fundamentals are, I don't want to say fantastic is probably an overstatement. Objectively, they have a much, much stronger balance sheet than Mawson does. Financially, they're in a much better position. Their cash flow situation is better. Both companies are starting to mine, but Eni, just as a percentage, has grown their mining business considerably this year. They are still among the smaller miners by far, but they've grown their mining business considerably. So I think Eni, that's a swing trade for me that could turn into a buy and hold. Mawson is a swing trade for me. I'm either going to win on it or I'm going to lose on it. And I'm going to be one way or the other. I'm going to be out at some point, in the next 90 days or whatever the case may be. We'll see what happens with Eni.
I like companies I can buy outright. And when they're at $10 million, it's getting closer to the number I can buy them an outright.
Oh, you're saying that you could literally just buy, not buy shares of the stock in.
Yeah. That's how I think about it.
They're both getting close to that. Eni and Mawson are both between $10 and $15 million market caps, which is, I think, nuts. I mean, that means they're being priced to go out of business.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, hey, before I forget, Craig, Isaac, and Brad, it was great meeting you. Some of you have already met before, but it's great to meet you guys at CleanSpark in Norcross. That was a lot of fun. We're going to put I'm going to put a video up eventually. I'm a little slow, though. Sorry.
So
it was awesome. That was the coolest thing I think I've ever seen in a Bitcoin miner and how it was set up.
So George got a chance to do a walkthrough of one of the facilities. Isaac, who's been on the channel, connected up with George, and I think George just mentioned, I don't know that Isaac walked him all the way through, but some of the other on-site people did a pretty thorough walkthrough. So definitely, as we go through the live stream, George, we'd love to hear more about, you got an up-close and personal look. I'm going to let you tell people how you felt. I think I got, your impression, but I'd love to have you tell everybody.
I think it's just nice to see where your money is going when you raise the money, when because that's what they did. All these, miners have always done it differently, obviously, but at least with, CleanSpark, it's a great story of CleanSpark and how they got into Bitcoin mining. And that was really interesting. And just, they're all on board with Bitcoin to 100K, like all of us.
Right.
We all believe that. We just, have a difference of opinion of when it's going to get there.
So I think that's. Let me just ask you this way, and I'll be leading the witness because you kind of talked to me. But, one of the things you got to do, and it's different in pictures or talking about it or looking at numbers, you got to stand in a gigantic warehouse full of Bitcoin miners.
Yes.
So, that's a very tangible moment where,
yes.
Why do they keep diluting? Why do they keep diluting? And then you look around and see tens or hundreds of millions of dollars worth of hardware at work. And I feel like that's a moment that puts things in perspective.
Yeah, we're buying and selling, trying to make our money off of the stock movement, right? And I know that, and it's like you finally put faces and hear stories about people and how they got into it. Like talking to Craig, how he got into, Bitcoin mining from being an Ethereum miner. And obviously, that went away. And
right.
He jumped on with CleanSpark. So that was really nice. You get to hear the story of, what put them into this mode of believing in Bitcoin in the future of I won't say replacement of fiat, but an extension of a fiat in the near future.
An alternative, at least.
Yeah, at least. But what's even crazier is I'm a cost guy. Like I always know what things cost. I mean, they're showing me, their immersion cooling, and they're showing me their, how they, do their heat exchange to, to take the heat out of the building. And it's just really neat to see it all come together and to see, the 3-inch, black water lines that you see for suppression systems, being used to, cool off these miner bays. It's really amazing. You can't really grasp the cost until you actually see it. You know what I mean? And it's just like, wow. And you wonder how many miles of electric is just ran throughout that building. I mean, it's got to be miles and miles and miles.
How much in the facility that you were in? What was the capacity? What was the amount of exahash?
I knew you were going to ask me that. I think they were at a little bit over 1.5 exahash, real close to 1.5 exahash. I think Craig's on right now, if you don't mind answering. I know on the one side it was a half, and I think the other one was 0.7 or 0.75. So it's like 1.25 or 1.3, right around there. I said 1.5 just to make it easier.
Right.
But it's just cool to see how they have it all, figured out, and how they've maximized their space, for with their energy, and how they're, their cross breeze of, sucking out the hot air and bringing in the cold air, and, finding the right temperature to run these things. Because this is one of the things, Tom, you've always said to me, and, we don't realize that, but we take and we don't realize that this is a new industry. This is like, we're, a couple years into really getting the exahash up to where it is today.
The publicly traded companies in particular, were really almost non-existent as a part of the exahash. You're right. Just 2 years ago, I will talk about a number that I find shocking, that just where the network is at and what has happened. So, yeah, I mean, most of the machines have come online in just the last few years. So this is a very new industry. Everybody's still learning. The technology's changing fast. So Crypto Craig is on, and I think he was saying 500 petahash. So a half an exahash, I think, where George was. So, George, having walked through that, and hopefully, like you said, we'll get some footage on the channel. I know your main camera person wasn't available or whatever the case may be to go do that, but I think you did get some footage. Are you going to go to any other places? And
yeah, actually, we talked about it. I'm going to try to visit all of them in Georgia at least. And they have, so what was really cool about that one, it was only had the immersion cooling. So what is crazy is the sound, obviously it was down when I was there, but what they said, and I believe them, is that the sound really isn't anything worse than any other building that you see running computers, because it's all in an oil base, not a water base. That's what's another thing. I thought it was in water. It's actually in an oil base. And what's really cool is they immerse the whole board in oil. So they take the fans off the backside of pretty much the ant miners, and they take the boards, they take the fans off, and the oil goes right in it. And that's just like crazy to think. So
blows my mind.
So then they bring I'm sorry?
It blows my mind. It's
so these things are in, and they have a partnership with ExxonMobil to figure out the right, weight of the oil to extract the heat from the mining machines to run it down to the heat exchanger to take that heat out. You know what I mean?
Nice. So,
he said it was 500 petahash.
So Craig is saying, yeah, it's a half an exahash, and it's a 20 megawatt facility. You're going to go see others. So to follow up with FV702, his question is, so is George buying more CleanSpark? So did you leave this experience with a higher level of conviction or the same level of conviction, or did you leave there with concerns, and did you buy any stock?
I will tell you that I did buy stock almost immediately after I left. I didn't buy it exactly that. I think I bought it the next day. But my problem with my Bitcoin, I don't have a problem with the price of the stock. I have the problem with the price of Bitcoin. That's my whole thing. And you guys all know, I've been honest. I've told everybody that I thought this was the summer of hell for crypto. And that hasn't changed yet, you know, and I'm wondering if it's going to be the winter of hell too, by the way.
Oh, my.
Yeah,
You're
I hate to say that, but yeah, I'm up in the ante. But, I mean, long term, it's a shell partnership, sorry. You know, long term, I still think that, you know, Bitcoin's going to, you know, to the moon. I haven't changed that opinion. But I do think that it's not going to be the path that anybody here thinks it's going to be.
You think it's going to take longer than everybody thinks?
Yes, yeah.
And potentially more pain in the middle.
Yeah, I think that I think it's a game. I think I'll be honest. Once the EFT gets approved.
Yes. Thought
you know, then I think this is a different game.
Switch.
Yeah, you listen to this, and this is Crypto Fever saying this. Oh yes, that's right. George still thinks, BTC is going to 12K. I still think that BTC is going down, and I think that I have not changed that opinion. Is it going to 12? You know what? I had more an aggressive target than that. Wasn't that crazy? I said it was going to less than 10K. I have an exact number, but I won't give you that. But I don't think it's going to stay there long term. I just think it's a shakeout. I think it's a shakeout, and I think it's more complicated of an answer than you want me to get into right now. Let's put it that way.
Well, maybe we will.
And I like living.
Okay, I think we all can agree with that theory. All right, we're at 45 likes. If everybody could do us a favor, it is free. If you enjoy this live stream, if you want to help us spread the live stream, smash the like button, please. And
BTF,
let's see if we can break some records today. I know it's been a tough week, a tough whatnot. I didn't make a video for a few days on purpose because I do feel like people were getting totally exhausted from this price action and, you know, all this downward momentum. So I have, for those of you who don't know, I am on the platform formerly known as Twitter. So I guess it's called X now. So I have stayed active on X. We did do our members only live stream every Tuesday. After the market closes, we do that. So this Tuesday, we did do our members-only live stream. So we had a really good show for that. In fact, we got kind of just as many people on that as we do right now on this one. So that was great. For those of you who are not members, I will pitch the membership. So pardon me for doing so. But I do think it's a great membership. There's a lot of members on right now. So, you know, please leave a note in the comment section if you guys, you know, get the value. It's got to be the cheapest membership on YouTube. It's $5 a month. You can join by you can become a member by hitting the join button right next to the subscribe button on the YouTube channel. So it's a YouTube thing. You don't have to go join some third party or whatever the case may be. And if you don't see that, you're probably on an Apple product, in which case there's a link in the description below to join the membership. Like I said, we do a once a week members only live stream. We also do a members only videos every week for the members, and we have a members only Discord that's 24/7 for the members, and we have usually a good conversation going on in that Discord. And I'm also considering on Fridays, we like to do, you know, I want to keep doing this. So George, I'm bouncing you off of this idea off of you in real time so you can think it over, but I'm thinking about splitting the Friday stream in half because we do have so many members. I may want to switch over at some point to just the members only, but
oh yeah, well, you know what's crazy? I was thinking about that. With members, we have, you know, usually around 70 to 80. You know, I think we had one that somebody didn't send the right invite that was really low, but hey, I want to answer Craig. Craig said 7750 question, George question. And you know what? I'm right around there. That's right around my number, by the way, and which is crazy. And I know that's crazy.
I was going to say you can neither confirm nor deny, but I guess you just confirmed.
Yeah, I just confirmed. It's in that area. That's not exactly, but if it hits it, I'll be like, wow, can you believe that? Sorry.
Mr.
No,
J.
I mean, I think, Tom, whatever you want to do.
All right. I just, I think by doing so, we can focus on, the members are kind enough to support the
according
channel.
to C, I'm more wrong than Kathy Woods, which is probably good because that means I'm successful. She's been terrible after her 2020 run, by the way. But anyway,
well,
she's getting better
until the market and she's way up off the bottom, but she's still way
yeah.
down from the top. And until this market goes risk on, I mean, Kathy Woods is the epitome of risk on. She's never gonna change that. So, until we flip into that scenario, and so I'll just show you one number that's working the opposite of that. I'm going to switch over to the DXY. So here we go, right? It looked like things were... The DXY is the U.S. dollar, the strength of the U.S. dollar versus other foreign currencies. So, it looked like maybe we were starting to take some pressure off. So for those of you who don't know, and I know a lot of you do, we talk about this on the channel a lot. The stronger the dollar gets, there's such a thing as too strong. It is too strong right now. This green line represents what was a 20-year high in the strength of the dollar. You'll see we did actually blow through that line. So, within the last year, we actually went much higher than that. But here we are once again. Yesterday, we went back over this line. Today, we're going to open and close over the line. So, at 104, the DXY at 104 is putting massive pressure on Bitcoin. It's putting massive pressure on the stock market. It's not, this is not where good things happen. So, and that's a part of the risk off. Obviously, the interest environment, which we should talk a little bit more about later. That is, I normally discount interest rates, but they're getting so high now. The yields are so, historically high that they are impacting this risk on, risk off equation, in my opinion. So, there's a lot of things not exactly going the right way. And with all that, I will say, I think I'm going to switch back to the daily Bitcoin chart. We did have a drop here, but it's this line, this very important line at 25,200. You can see on the daily, we candle wick down and almost exactly touched this. This did hold, and we've had some, consolidation for the last week. So inside of all these other things going wrong, and, Powell spoke at Jackson Hole today, and, that put some more pressure on the market, although the market seemed to shrug that off. So, because the market itself actually had a pretty decent day today. Let's see. What am I missing anything in that? Mr. J just opened a Bitfarms position, 4,000 shares at $1.23. Outstanding. That's a great cost basis in my opinion. I don't know where we go in the future, but if that's a buy and hold position, in my opinion, that's a spectacular move.
Of course, after the close, Bitcoin starts to pump up a little bit.
So let's go back to the 15.
How it goes.
We're right back to for those of you familiar with the channel, you're sick of hearing me say that. If you're new to the channel, there's this gold or orange line. That is where Bitcoin was when the U.S. equity markets closed yesterday. So always the day before. So this was Thursday. So you're going to see, here we are. Here it is right now. We are, $9 off of where we were 24 hours ago. So that's how sideways we are. Yes, we did go up a little bit. We did go down a little bit. But here we sit, and this day after day, we've been experiencing this type of action where, this is very, very sideways. And then, every once in a while, at the moment, you can see a few days ago, over a week ago now, we did have this big down day. When we broke this line at 28.8, that was very strong support. So you'll see we closed the daily candle below that, and then boom, the next day was big move to the downside. In that one day, as soon as we crossed this line of support, and a lot of people I know aren't technical analysis people, and it's certainly not the only thing, but it does tell some short-term stories. You can see the first day we closed below this line of support that was holding very strong. we moved all the way down in just one day, all the way down and tested this line at 25,000. So, that's $3,600 move to the downside as soon as we lost one line of support. Fortunately, the next one held. So, and we haven't really given it a strong retest since, but we'll see. It's not over. We'll see where we go from here. I'm optimistic. Those of you that watch the channel, I remain optimistic. I do think 25,200 has held. I think we could go sideways for a while, but I think it's going to be up from here. But let's see what you guys think. Let's get a poll going.
Tom, when we start having worries about Bitcoin coming into next year? Price point.
When?
Yeah. It's like, when do the companies really start to get, like, in trouble financially?
Well, we will discuss more. That's a gigantic question. The answer is different for every company, right? There are some companies that I'm not going to say they're rooting for it, but there's some companies that probably feel like, we could ride any storm out pretty much. So,
right.
If Bitcoin has horrible, horrible things happen, maybe that'll just eliminate all of our competition. I don't think they're thinking that. If I'm them, I still would rather have Bitcoin just move to the upside and get to it. But
do you think the NASDAQ and Bitcoin have separated?
I think the NASDAQ and Bitcoin have separated more than the NASDAQ and the Bitcoin miners. There's more days lately where Bitcoin follows the movement on the NASDAQ more closely than it follows the movement on Bitcoin. So, and obviously both of those things tug at what happens to Bitcoin miners. And if there's big moves, in one or the other, that's going to dominate. But I think I think in the long run, we're going to look and see that these two things had nothing to do with each other. But in the short term, which is really the last couple of years anyway, there has been a correlation. Almost all assets have been correlated, and I think it's less to do with NASDAQ and Bitcoin than it is to do with interest rates and strength of the dollar. There's other things that's just crushing everything.
So let's say we have a crash tomorrow, on Monday, 10% on the NASDAQ. Do you think Bitcoin goes up, or do you think Bitcoin has a pullback? Maybe not 10%, but...
If we have a 10% move to the downside on the NASDAQ,
yes,
I think it depends what the reason for that move is. I mean, that would be a drastic move to the downside. That would be one of the biggest moves. That's historic level move to the downside.
Right. I'm just curious. My thought is this, and this is how I'm trying to explain why I'm not so bullish on Bitcoin right now, is because if that moves down, I would imagine that Bitcoin is going to move down too. Maybe not, one for one, but there's definitely going to be some downward pressure put on it.
I think in the short term, that could very well be true.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So if you have confidence in the stock market, you can have confidence into Bitcoin, I guess is the way I'm saying it. Uh-oh. Good. You get Tom. Tom, you're living in a dream world. These miners have been moving horribly. Stop leading people into the fire. Yes, miners will go up, but won't ever reach those all-time highs again. Miners suck.
I'm living it. Who said that?
It's just somebody new. I don't know.
Well, you know what? Everybody is entitled to their opinion. So... I
think a good thing for people to buy right now would be Apple. You should probably buy Apple.
Well, maybe this person can go buy Apple. I don't know if I don't know, if that's an interesting comment. If the miners are horrible, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, I'm not sure what this person's doing here. So, right, because there's literally billions of videos to watch. There's tens of millions of live streams. So if I don't know. Obviously, you're not into Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners, so which is fine. You're not alone. I'm sure there's many, many people that feel the same way. I will show you a chart. You know, this is still, with this pullback, Bitcoin miners have still been very close to the best investment for the year of 2023 for the most part. So, I mean, that's just a statistical fact. Now, 2022 was a train wreck. So you put the two together, and we are still way off of our highs. But in 2023, even after what is now a 6 or 7 week pretty rough pullback, there's some of these Bitcoin miners still up 300, 400, 500, 700% year to date. So, you know, it depends on how you invest. It depends on your time frames. But this is certainly not for everybody. Very, very volatile stuff. So if you
yeah, it's risk on. There's definitely no doubt in my mind.
High risk. So, you know, I harp on this. People get sick of me saying this is not financial advice. This is the very volatile stuff, but that's why I say it. Just to this person's point, that's kind of why I harp on this.
See, Mac, you need to join, because we did, like, our whole members stream was about any, which is funny. Yeah, but what's your opinion about, is it Nano Dimensions, Tom?
Nano Dimension, I know that is on my list. I've talked about doing a video on that. I will tell you that all these risk on assets are, I need to be, you know, we need to use our time wisely, and there are a few people, and perhaps Mac is one of them. I probably have 10 or 15 people very interested in a Nano Dimension video. But if I do a video that gets 300 views, it is going to destroy our channel. That affects the algorithm to the point where maybe I could do a members-only video on that. But for me to do a public video right now would, you know, in some way really damage the channel. And I don't make the rules, so, you know, don't hate the player or whatever whatever the kids are saying these days.
Hate the game, not the player.
That's just the way it works. So, you know, I like Nano Dimension. It's that could be a very good members only update. So I like that. And we've talked about, with the members only, we've talked about any significantly, actually to the point where some of the members on our members only live stream were disgusted how much we talked about it and wanted me to shut up and move on. I believe was what they said.
Let's speak so we don't talk about it again. Fed meeting with Powell today. What's your takeaway?
My biggest takeaway is the market shrugged that off. I mean, they just absolutely. I'm going to go and look at what the market did. All right, so, and then I've got an article about this as well. But if we look at what the market did, I'm going to refresh just to make sure this was the final numbers. But yeah, I mean, the NASDAQ ended up 0.94%. I mean, you can see earlier in the day, this was in the red. So the market this was, let's just say this was priced in, because the market on a Friday afternoon, which is classic for big sell-offs, Jerome Powell comes out and says, was I talking to you last night about this, George?
Yes,
Where, you know,
yes.
these are the two big things that would cause a sell-off. So sure enough, what's going to happen tomorrow? The market's going to run. So, and that's exactly what happened. There's just no, predicting. So, you know, the Dow was up nicely 0.75%. The S&P 500 0.2%. The Russell was up. So a green day in the market. Bitcoin was very sideways, but I mean, that tells me that despite the fact that, and I'll just read a little bit of this. But Jerome Powell said, we are attentive to signals that the economy may not be cooling as expected. Additional evidence of persistently above trend growth could put further progress on inflation at risk and could warrant further tightening of monetary policy. So that is the statement, you know, that people didn't want to hear, but obviously at this point, they so much expected to hear it that they shrugged it off. It had no impact. So we've got somebody, Mr. J, saying Fed chair will raise rates September 30th. And I will verify, Mr. J has been saying that for he said predicted that on 8/15. So I thought it was maybe even earlier than that, but yes, Mr. J has been saying that. So, and that goes against, even after Powell spoke today, I'll refresh this, the futures are still saying 80% chance that the Fed does not raise rates in the September meeting. But, this is just the futures. This is, a prediction that we'll see. We don't know what happens until they get there. So Mr. J is in the camp that they're going to raise rates at this upcoming meeting on September 20th, which is still the better part of a month away. So we're good. We will get a lot of data points between now and then. If CPI goes up again, right, we got all the way down to 3. We had maybe as many as 12 consecutive months in a row where CPI, it had peaked. I think we had 12 consecutive months in a row where CPI was down month over month, so that was an extremely good trend. This last month, we broke that trend, and overall CPI went from 3.0 to 3.2. So, if we get another CPI, at 3.5 or something like that, and we really start to see, not that that's drastically different, but what people were really hoping, and a lot of people 30 days ago were looking at trueflation and just saying, this is money in the bank. The next CPI data is going to be in the 2s. We'll be at 2.0 before you know it. But all of a sudden, there is a bump in the road. So we're going to see where that leads us. This is not the given that it was looking like for, 12 consecutive months of the data moving in the right direction. So I just don't think there's too many more times the Fed can raise rates without causing other disasters, but they're starting to get stuck between a rock and a hard place. And this is exactly what Jerome Powell was afraid of.
Yeah, we're used to hate. I'm used to hate. It makes me cry, Tom. So basically,
is one who quit the live stream on Tuesday when you would knock it off Mawson and Any. Time is too valuable to waste on pure speculation. So Edmund had had enough, and he quit the live stream.
That was funny. So Tom, who's undervalued now? Where are we looking?
Well, after a week like this, everybody feels undervalued to me. Now, some people might. This is the funny part. This is when the panic starts to set in, and I know you can see based on the fact that these are just going down, down, down. Although there were a little bit of a mixed bag today. We'll take a look at the weekly action on some of these. All these Bitcoin miners were down this week. Some of them in dramatic fashion. So, to me, all these. I shouldn't say all. We'll talk about a few in specific. A lot of these look extremely tempting. And so, I've been averaging in every single week. I did a little less averaging in this week than usual, only because I've spent so many weeks in a row dollar cost averaging in that even though this week was down, a lot of these are still at the very same, they're back down to where I bought them, 4 days ago or 6 days ago. So I don't like to, even Bitfarms, which is at a great point. I've already bought in twice, once under $1.26. So, and once just like $1.28 or something. So there wasn't, to me, it didn't make sense to add to that position. But if we have another leg down next week, I will be adding more. And I'll probably, unless things run next week, if we get another one of these weeks, I'll just continue to, I'm trying to be as slow and steady as I can be. I have really, for those of you on the channel, I have been talking slow and steady, dollar cost average, don't FOMO in, don't panic out. And that's what I've been doing, all year and then some, really. Since last November. Last November, I ramped it up, and I did have about a month where I went heavy. And then I kind of went back to just very slow and steady dollar cost averaging in. Mr. J, just gifted one Talking Investing membership. Thank you, Mr. J. Let's see. It should tell. So Wesley B can thank Mr. J for a free membership to the Talking Investing Squad. So you can join us on the members only live streams every Tuesday after the market closes. And there's a bunch of videos ready and waiting for you. And you can learn how to link up to our Discord as well. So congratulations and thank you, Mr. J, for giving somebody that opportunity. All right, welcome to Talking Investing. Membership.
I'm reading about U.S. and the trying to break free from the Russian. What is it? The nuclear power. What makes nuclear power?
Uranium.
Uranium.
Yep.
Yeah. They're trying to break free of it. Yeah. Okay.
So
there goes the whole save the environment theme out the window. Sorry.
Well, I don't think uranium is. Well, that's a can of worms and a very long conversation.
I know. I'm just saying though. They're just saying that they're going to open up a plant in New Mexico.
There's big government incentives in the U.S. for specifically for uranium mining. The U.S. pretty much turned off their uranium mining several years ago. It was.
But why did they do it, Tom?
I can't tell you a good reason why they did it. I mean, it may not have been profitable, but here's the thing, and that's maybe why government subsidies are needed to get it kickstarted. We'll see. People got away from nuclear for a long time, but I think that's circling back around. And I know there's a massive amount of government money going into North American uranium mining because there was somebody fact check me on this if you want, but I do believe the U.S. at one point last year, I think we bought 99% of the uranium that the U.S. used was purchased from foreign sources. And the majority of those sources were
Russia.
Russia, the Ukraine. I'm missing one or two. Canada actually has a nice amount of uranium mining that's done there. The U.S., like I said, they turned it off, so they need to turn it back on again. This is a part of the supply chain thing. Every country in the world learned a very painful lesson, in my opinion, over a 3 or 4 year window here that, they need to shore up their own supply chain, relying on, this area or that area for 90 or 100% of things that are vital to your, day-to-day existence just doesn't work. So I know we have some members that know a lot more about uranium than I do.
But do you think it's a good stock pick? I mean, do you think that's...
I'm very interested in the uranium stocks, and we have one that I'm doing a deep dive on for the members.
Oh, okay.
So that is a members only deep dive that's coming out. There's a lot more stocks, than just the one I'm doing a deep dive on. And yes, I think that's a big potential opportunity. Government money's still money, and it's not a little bit that they're putting into that in the U.S. It's a lot.
Interesting.
And nuclear power, I think you're going to see more and more nuclear power. That's my opinion.
Well, I think you got to if you want to have electric vehicles.
Right. If we want to get away from, we can't have no power. If we want to get away from fossil fuels and, then we've got to replace it. And wind and solar are, very nice, but they're very, very small in comparison. So, they got to be supplemented by a lot of other things. And I think nuclear power and uranium will be one of them. That's my opinion. I'll finish the deep dive. And again, there are some members I know that know a lot more about this than I do. And that's one of the benefits of being in the membership, because we have people in different areas. I'm not going to say experts because, we're all just retail investors and none of this is financial advice. But we have people that, spend a lot of their time learning about different industries, and, that no one person is an expert or, has done a deep dive on every single industry across the entire market. And there's opportunities everywhere. So it's important to find the opportunities. Jeff, if you're still on here, you know, you can let everybody know. You gave us the supermarket trades. And those were a home run when it seemed like there was no place to hide. There was some place to hide, and it was in supermarkets, grocery stores, and you know, there is always something. And you know,
so where do you think the price, the place is to hide this time?
You know, at the moment, this feels like one of those times where there's no place to hide, but okay. I'm sure that there is. So, you know, I do think there's a lot of companies that are beaten down right now. Some of the risk on stuff is really getting beaten back down to numbers that are very interesting to me. There's some dividend stocks that I'm looking at that I think I will start adding to positions in that are just so beaten down. If you get a high dividend stock, but you have to be careful. And I will tell you, Foot Locker is a cautionary tale. Foot Locker's their dividend got over 7%, and you know, their stock was way down. So you know, that started to look very attractive. I had not done a deep dive, but I did mention on the members only. I had just added that to my watch list, and I had talked about, you know, hopefully over the next week I'm going to do a deep dive on this and see if it's worth investing in. Well, the very next day, they suspended their dividend. So, you know, that 7% dividend turned into a 0% dividend, and the stock got absolutely decimated. So you do have to be careful and look at cash flow. And that's why I try to do these deep dives and look at the financial statements, look at a company's ability to cash flow and continue to pay their dividends. There are a lot of companies that dividends are getting to 5 or 6 or 7%. They are cash flow positive, they are profitable, and they're going to pay those dividends. So if you can get into a stock like that, and on top of that, maybe catch a 30% or 50% run up, some of these stocks are down 50 or 60 or 70%. So, you know, just for them to get back to where they were a year ago, you could be getting 7% returns for a while, and then, oh, by the way, you know, get a double on your stock. So, you know, obviously none of that's a guarantee, but I'm looking for some more of those types of things. A little safer than we talk a lot about very high risk stuff on this channel.
You like the juice? You know, the squeeze? You like the excitement?
Well, there's opportunity, but with opportunity comes risk. Risk reward. I know, you know, I say it until I'm blue in the face.
Do you think Apple or any of the big blue chips are safe to be in right now?
I wouldn't be in Apple personally. I'm not expecting Apple to collapse or crash or anything like that. I don't think there's a lot of upside there. I will talk about one stock that is now, you know, one of the largest stocks in the world that I think is going to have another run up, and that is Nvidia. They reported earnings after hours. They were up huge. The market sold all that off. It pulled back. I'm just going to pull them up for a minute and show you why I think what I think. If you look at Nvidia, they were down 2.43% today. So they're at $460. They just reported one of the best earnings I've ever seen a company report, and they set expectations prior to this. So in their last earnings report a quarter ago, they set expectations through the roof to the moon. So I had said earlier, you know, if they're able to beat those expectations, I expect them to skyrocket. So after hours, they did. They were way over $500 after hours. They closed at $460 today. These were, I mean, this is their summary. Record revenue of $13 billion, up 88% quarter over quarter. This is not year over year. This is quarter over quarter. 88% increase for one of the biggest companies by market cap in the world. 101% from a year ago. And then if you look at, I'm going to scroll down. I'm not going to bore you guys with the whole thing, but if you go to, oh, did I pass it? Outlook. NVIDIA's outlook for the third quarter. So they raised expectations again. Revenue is expected to be $16 billion, plus or minus 2%. GAAP, non-GAAP gross margins are expected to be 71 to 72%. Let's see. Tax rates I don't care about. GAAP and non-GAAP other income highlights NVIDIA achieves progress since its previous earnings. So you can see, I mean, they earned, I think, $270 per share. So that drastically beat what the street was looking for. And, you know, now here they are raising expectations again. So this company's on fire. They're in demand. And usually when these companies run, they go on their run. Now, they're already over $1 trillion market cap. So, you know, that is worth noting. They're a $1.1 trillion market cap. And like I said, they were at, you know, like $510 after hours yesterday. So, you know, they were a bunch higher than that. But I think they could continue to run from here quite a bit. So, you know, here's I'm not usually the guy to chase. And so I don't know that I will, but I would be, you know, if I had to pick one of the big giant companies, I'd be in NVIDIA long before I'd be in Apple. That's my personal opinion. Let's end this current poll. Okay, Bitcoin's next move up to 30,000, 32%. So this is a very split poll. Everybody, this makes sense. We're all kind of up in the air. Break support below. Break support below 25,000. 39%, 40%. So that actually got the most votes out of anything. Stay sideways, 28%. So we're all over the place, which makes sense. I mean, it's really hard to tell what's coming next in the next 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. And I think this poll reflects that. That's been happening more and more. These polls used to be very decisive. You know, these were optimistic. We were at 70, 80, 90% that, you know, the next move was up for a solid 6 months. But it's no surprise, you know, after the price action that we've had for the last 8 or 10 weeks that, you know, people are very conflicted on what comes next.
Yeah, it definitely hasn't broken out of the range.
No, not to the upside or to the downside.
I'm just waiting for a supermoon, Tom.
When's the supermoon? Tell us when it is.
I think it's the 31st of August.
Supermoon August 31st, everybody. That's
Put
George's.
it in your notebooks.
Write it down. Anybody, if anybody would be so kind, we are at 73 likes. If you could please smash the like button. It is free if you are enjoying this. Or if you're not enjoying it, but you're still willing to smash the like button, we appreciate it. It helps the live stream a lot. So thank you very much. And if you are not subscribed to the channel, please feel free to subscribe to the channel. We're here with content consistently and regularly for over 2 years now, coming up on 2.5 years. So,
Tom, I have a question. Do you ever look at congressional stock picks or trades?
I do not look at that at all, but I know there's a lot of people that follow that. I've just, because most of those companies are not my world, I don't look at them. But it would be interesting, you know, to follow that basket of stocks.
I was just curious if that's worth something to do or not.
Let's see.
Does anybody
look at that?
Yeah, I'm asking right now on the stream.
Let's ask for comments in the...
How's the poll doing?
I ended the poll. It was basically, you know, we're all over the place. I think it's fair to say nobody's very confident about what comes next. So, and that's extremely understandable based on the price action. You know, the other thing to look at is the fear and greed index. The last week has hit, you know, this is the lowest it's been all year. Last week it was down to 37. Today it's at 39. So you know, that's into fear in a way it hasn't been in quite a while. Jeff is saying, you are Jeff, welcome to the stream. I think I saw you earlier, but I don't know that I've said hello. Robert, welcome to the stream. Barry, welcome to the stream if I haven't said hello to you guys yet. Barry's saying, what about PayPal and Tesla? Would you buy? I would buy, and I am going to buy PayPal. That is on my buy list. So, yes. Not financial advice, not recommending it, but to me, I think PayPal is a screaming buy right now, and I'm willing to wait. You know, I'm not saying it's going to run next month, but at the levels it's at right now, and it's kind of done some consolidation. Well, I'll bring that chart up just for fun. So you can see this stock got, you know, pretty beat up. How far back? This is too far back. Everything got beat up since 2021, but. So this is February of 2023. This was already beat up, and from there, you know, it's down 30%. You can see on earnings, this got crushed. So in, you know, a few day window, this was down 15%. It got down as much as 25%. So to me, like, this did get a little lower, but it didn't close any lower. So although, because you can see if we zoom in, that's our lowest close. So I guess that was a little bit lower, but you know, somewhere in this $58 to $60 range, we were here in May. So it ran up to 75. It's run back down to the, you know, 58 to 60. So to me, that's my entry point, somewhere right in here. So I'm probably going to have to do this next week. So, you know, again, that's just what I'm doing. You guys do whatever you want, but it's highly likely I buy PayPal next week. If I can get it anywhere, you know, if I'm hoping, obviously you're always hoping for a little pullback, but I'll probably make my first dollar cost average in regardless, unless there's some crazy run up. Then I may wait to see if it pulls back again. But yes, I do like. Here's my downfall. Said I subscribed. Thank you. Much appreciated. Thanks for subscribing. Anyway, Jeff was saying URG. So that is the one we're going to be doing a deep dive on for the members only. Robert Anderson, whoa, I'm really late today. Well, welcome. Better late than never. Thanks for joining us. We're at 82 likes. So thank you, everybody. George, are we losing George? Are you asleep?
No, I'm just waiting.
Trying
to figure out the next course of action.
All right. Robbie is saying ETF approval is our next catalyst. And that's 50-50. So to me, right, that I think that is a gigantic catalyst. And I think it's not if but when. But, you know, that when is anybody's guess. And, you know, they've dragged that out in ways that I never thought possible.
And they know it. And that's what is so sad. Everybody knows it. Everybody on this stream knows it. And I'm in shock.
Jeff D'Agostino adding to, I don't know, Jeff, if you were here when I gave you your shout out on supermarkets. And Jeff is saying supermarkets dividends are safe and secure. So there's one right there. Stephen English said, I'm on holiday but had to log in to get my Tom and George fix. Thank you and welcome, Stephen English. I hope you're enjoying your holiday. And thanks for stopping in.
What holidays today, my friend, over in UK?
Crypto Fever, I've been swing trading APLD, Applied Digital. All week was a pretty good week for me. Target buy entry between 5 and 6. So that's very high on my watch list. They pulled back. I'm going to pull that up because You know, this did run away from me, so I thought it was gone forever. But it's come back.
Are you still in them?
I never got in them, and
Oh,
you know, I thought it ran away from me. And here's the, you know, here's the one day, you know, this was hanging out. We have a line here at 85 cents that goes back to July of 2022. This had a big jump, you know, so there was this big jump back in May, and there was 1, 2, 3, you know, there was like a week of running up to get into this, but then, you know, this got all the way up to $11. It did pull back to 7 or 8. Now, I mean, to me, this is a super buy zone. And, you know, obviously there's a gap here, so could it go lower? I hope it does, because I think it's a buy here, and I would average in again if it goes lower. But I think it'll hold this gap, in my opinion. But, you know, we'll see. These are good. But that's a, you know, that's a gigantic pullback from, even from, you know, here down to here. You're getting close to a 50% discount. And if you go from the high, it's probably more than that. Right, 49.5% to where we closed today. You know, intraday, we were as much as 53 or 54% off of the highs. So, very interested in this again. I did think through this window, even when it got down here, I wasn't thrilled about $8. If it had consolidated, you know, at some point I might have thought, all right, you know, maybe this is a good spot. But to me, this is a buying opportunity. So, again, not financial advice, just my personal opinion. But you guys are bringing up a lot of them that I like, and it sounds like you're already in a lot of these, making swing trades, making money. So Crypto Fever mentioned that, and he's swing trading this, and it looks like maybe has already made some money on this. So congratulations to anybody who's making money on some swing trades or whatever the case may be. I would love to hear that in the chat, and we can share some of those stories, because, you know, it's good to share these stories and show people there are opportunities. Things are not just, you know, earlier we had somebody kind of a very gloom and doom scenario like, and it's not, yes, there's a big pullback in a lot of stuff, but there's always opportunities. And, you know, sometimes a lot of people are not interested in swing trades. So if you're not, I understand. If you don't, you know, if you don't have the time to put into it and you're not looking at your portfolio on that level and that time frame, you know, on a daily basis type of thing, then it's probably not the right thing for you. But for a lot of people, they are. And, you know, an awful lot of money is made on swing trades. Now, you got to know what you're doing. It is, you know, not the same thing as just dollar cost averaging and holding over long periods of time. You need a plan, you need an entry point, you need an exit point. So, but like Crypto Fever, I'll go back because he mentioned one. There is money to be made on swing trades. It's a big part of investing. There's a lot of different ways to invest. There's no right way. There's no wrong way. There's not just one answer. So, you know, try to leave room. Even if it's not your thing, understand it may be some other people's thing that they make money at.
Man, it was hot in Georgia today, by the way. It's supposed to be hot all weekend.
It remains hot in Florida, but I'm not complaining. I vowed never to complain about the heat.
I have a question. With
Going up in the
Riot's energy agreement, have they ever released it to explain what they did?
I don't know that you can see their actual power purchase agreement, but they've explained it in great detail, and you can see, you know, they disclose those line item by line item exactly how much they get paid, and it's in credits. So, but it's, you know, it's been ranging, you know, between $6 million and $10 million a quarter recently. So it's big money.
Yeah, you know, that's why I was curious how they did it. What are they guaranteeing so much electric to be purchased every month, and then if they need to sell it back, they're selling back the stuff that they've already agreed to pay for?
The biggest part where they get paid, the most money that they make, is in very short windows of time when the grid is pressed, and in in need of energy, the energy prices spike. So there's an opportunity, and Riot's not the only one that participates in this. There's an opportunity to sell money, back to to sell power back to the grid at those peak prices. And, it's the peak price exists because there's a peak energy need. So, if your grid needs the energy, it's a positive thing that you are doing for your community and for the infrastructure to put money back in. Now, some people say, yeah, but they make money at it. Well, I mean, that's what businesses are in business to do, is to make money. So, when the grid desperately needs help is when most of that money comes in. There's other times they're curtailing and they don't get paid a lot for that. So, there's all types of curtailment across every single miner to some extent at some point in the year, and it just depends geographically where they're at. Does do some curtailment. Some of it is self-curtailment, because at that same time as energy prices peak, and this is a critical part of what the Bitcoin miners have gotten substantially better at. They're micromanaging the purchase and sale of power, on a moment-to-moment basis in order to keep their power costs down. So when power spikes, even if they can't sell power back to the grid, they may power down and turn off. They're not gonna, buy energy at a price that's double or triple or quadruple what they're going to make on the Bitcoin they mine. So just by micromanaging that from moment to moment, they can drastically reduce their cost per coin. And it's part of the reason most of these companies' cost per coin has gone fairly sideways over a period of time where the global network, and in specific the difficulty level for mining Bitcoin, has now officially more than doubled in the last just over 1 year. So that is a drastic event. It is the equivalence of a halving. So I may do a separate video because I'm just not sure people understand how much of an impact this has and just how impressive it is that these Bitcoin miners are able to keep their costs where they're at, given this monster increases in, their cost in the difficulty level, and therefore as a result the amount of power needed to, solve the next block. I know I have that open somewhere. Okay, so here we go. On August 22nd, 3 days ago, there was an adjustment, and there's a difficulty adjustment every 2 weeks. You can see this adjusted up 6.17%. That is now 55.6 trillion. That is an all-time record difficulty level, and it is now more than double what it was. I think if we go back to, let's see, where do we have to go back to? Okay, you're at 27 last July. So we're double that, just a little over 1 year later. 1 year and 1 month later, we're double. And the thing is, if you go back, go back to 2 years ago, you're at 13.6. Now, this was a drastic pullback in the difficulty level, if you remember, and here was a 27% adjustment to the downside, a 15% adjustment. If you remember, China kind of changed their policy and a lot of machines were turned off. So this got down to very low numbers, but it is now over a 2-year period. This is 4x the difficulty level. So, that's a halving and then another halving. So, and none of that includes the actual halving that we're going to have in April of 2024. So, to me, very impressive what these Bitcoin miners have done in, learning to adapt to this level of difficulty and keeping their costs down. Because that's what it's all about for them. If they were paying, if their costs had gone up in proportion to the difficulty level, they'd all be out of business right now. So, pretty much across the board, all these companies have had to adapt in a major way over the last 12 months, 13 months, as a result of this massive, massive increase.
Looks like Florida could be getting a hurricane, Tom.
Uh-oh. I'm
I
not
know.
rooting for that.
You know, it's like the probability is, so low it doesn't even matter.
I know this. That's another one of those things where it will be what it will be. Duckman, good health, everyone from Greenland. Welcome. Welcome to the stream.
What country is Greenland?
Greenland.
Is it Canada?
No, it's Greenland.
Is it really?
I assume
It seems
so.
too small to be its own country.
Not if you look on the globe.
But I mean,
You
why?
know how it gets
How many people?
disproportionate on
How
the
many
globe.
people live in Greenland, sir? Not you, the gentleman that.
I can certainly look it up. Sorry to be somewhat ignorant on my Greenland facts.
No, it says Greenland. Is Greenland a country? Autonomous. But it's within the Kingdom of Denmark.
Ah, okay. There you go. I'm trying to see what the population
What
is.
in the world does that mean? What is that always? I always get a Kingdom of Denmark. What does that mean?
This is not geography advice. So that was not my strong suit.
The Danish crown.
Edmund saying, Tom, power costs, hash rate increases, and halving events are a good reason to lighten up on miners and buy Bitcoin and good cryptos. Yeah, I mean, that is definitely a safer strategy, right? If you hold the Bitcoin itself, however long it takes to get where it's going, I'm not going to say it doesn't matter, but, you've got the Bitcoin. These are much higher risk assets than holding the underlying cryptocurrency. They're leverage plays, but leverage goes both ways, so to the upside and to the downside. And if things don't go, our way, then Edmund's right. For those who hold Bitcoin, they can just buy it and hold it through, even if it's another crypto winner. Okay, well, we'll see you in the next bull run. But in the meantime, some of these miners could get wrecked if things don't go the right way. There's no question about it. There are other miners where Bitcoin would really have to, have years of failure for them to not make it. But that group is much smaller than, a lot of these are very dependent on at least reasonably good things happen. It doesn't have to be Bitcoin to the moon, but, we need some movement to the upside. If Bitcoin's at 25 or 30,000 or even 35,000 at the halving, I think you can wave goodbye to a bunch of these Bitcoin miners. So, and I know there's an awful lot of people that think that Bitcoin will be somewhere around 35,000 at the halving.
I do probability tables, Tom. There's a good probability that it will be at that price, but there's also a very good probability it will be higher at like 60 to 65.
That's the thing. We don't know the answer to that. So as we get closer to the halving, we're going to have to make much harder decisions on which Bitcoin miners, if we want to remain invested. If you want to take Edmund's thought process and say, let's lighten our load on that. And I don't think he was saying dump everything. I think he was saying, go lighter on the miners and a little heavier on the underlying cryptocurrency itself. In this case, for me, that would be Bitcoin. Or, do you want to try and, have your opinion on what's best of breed, what's most likely to survive, what's most likely to thrive? So I give my opinion
I'm
on
getting
that all
into
the time.
Forex. Is anybody here interested in Forex, by the way?
Yeah, let us know in the comments. Somebody was just asking for a poll. What was that? Okay, so this is one actually. Thank you. Who was that? I'll check. in a second. Let me post this. And I think this is a simple yes or no. Will the Fed raise rates in the September 20th meeting? So I'm just going to leave it at yes or no, and then we can work our way from there. So that's the next meeting. At the next available meeting, forget what the futures think, forget what the market thinks, forget what other people's opinion are. What do we think? What do you guys think is going to happen? I don't think I've said hello to Kelvin. So hello, Kelvin. Thank you for being a member. Welcome to the stream. Colton, welcome. I don't think I've said hello to Colton. James Ross, welcome. I don't think I've said hello to James. Darren S. I don't think I've said hello to Darren. I think you've been here. I may have missed you, so, or if you just got here, welcome. Barry, welcome. Let's see. I noticed Sue from Hut. Let's see. I noticed Sue from Hut in interview on Paul Burrow's channel actually gave Hive some credit for being advanced like Hut in AI. ... Suspicious. Yeah, I don't know what to read into that. I am working with Sue. So she will be on the channel as well. We've been in contact with each other. The last time we had to go through all those legal hoops to get our interview cleared because they're in the middle of this vote. So I expect that'll happen again, but there's a lot we can talk about, I think, that won't interfere with this vote that's happening right now on this potential merger of equals. I mean, I think Hut's way out ahead of everybody on the whole high-performance computing. They were first to that. They were talking about that when nobody cared at all. So I give them credit. So Robert Anderson says, I love it when Tom says my name. I think you're making fun of me, Robert. But welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream anyway. Omer, welcome to the stream. I'm not sure if I said hello to you either. Mark, you know, it would be nice if Sue was exclusive to our channel, but I don't think that she's allowed to do that. We see her. Sue is very active. That is her job. So she is out there trying to spread the word. So, you know, not only on our channel, but all over. Calvin's saying Sue is so tight-lipped. It's been like that. Well, you know, and particularly, I think she's kind of boxed into being tight-lipped on a lot of issues since they're in the middle of a potential merger here. They're literally voting on it now, so.
When does it due? Today or this weekend?
No, I think September 12th or sometime in September is will be the final tally on that vote.
So, like, all the members, if you have stock, you vote for it?
You can, yes.
I think what happens if it doesn't pass? They go out of business.
If that merger doesn't go through, they don't go out of business, in my opinion. They are a very, very strong company. Now, they're Bitcoin mining, and they're a Bitcoin miner. Their Bitcoin mining has suffered over the last year for a lot of reasons. It's off drastically. So this was their fast path to getting their exahash back up to where they wanted it to, but they still have the second largest hodl of Bitcoin out of any of the Bitcoin miners that are publicly traded. They have a rock-solid balance sheet. They do have the high-performance computing. They will find a way to plug their machines in and add to their machines, in my opinion, one way or the other. It seems like this merger is going to happen, but nothing is certain. So, you know, we don't know. Until that vote's over, we don't know. Just taking a peek at the poll. I'm very surprised at how the poll. If you have not voted, Voting on the poll is free. Will the Fed raise interest rates at the next meeting, which is in September? Just a simple poll, a yes or a no. We're at 86 likes, George. We're not gonna make it.
Don't sell yourself short, Tom.
We did our best. We tried. Kelvin's asking, do you have a video review of all the miners' construction plans with regard to exahash up to the halving? So monthly, every month I talk about where they are at. I can do a video on, everyone in every deep dive. So as I do a deep dive miner by miner, I talk about what their plans are and how they intend to fund them. But I haven't done a side-by-side. I can do that if people are interested in that. A lot of those, there's so many variables that go into this. For instance, CleanSpark's looking at 16 exahash. But as we do a side-by-side, they're looking at 16 exahash. And, they have it's already funded. There is not if but when. That's not on the drawing board. That's not a goal. That's, they've already got their path to that, and they'll be there shortly, barring events that, don't go their way. But versus, some other companies that have talked about things but don't necessarily have the machines, on lockdown, and the facilities on lockdown, and the power purchase agreements on lockdown. So there's a broad spectrum. But just to mention a few that have big plans ahead. Like I just mentioned, CleanSpark has big plans to get to 16 exahash, and then I think they'll let us know where they go from there, because they're certainly not done at that point. Riot just made the biggest announcement. They've been talking about 12.5 exahash for well over a year. Technically, because they have that building that's still not up and running, they're still not at their goal. But they should be there very shortly. But they've now announced a goal to get to just under 21, with options to get all exahash, that is, with options to get all the way to 35 exahash by the end of 2025. But now, an awful lot has to happen between now and then. So the plans are to get from 12.5 to 20 point whatever. Those plans are solid. But the options to get from there to 35, those next 15 exahash, those are more on the drawing board. They're not, we know where it would be. They've got their Corsicana facility that they will be building. That is in Texas. So they have two gigantic facilities in Texas. One that's already basically up and running. The other one that's only just now getting, going. And that one's going to be a gigahash, 1 gig when it's all said and done with. The other one I think is 700 or 750 megawatts, which is already one of the biggest facilities. So between the two of those, they could accommodate all 35 exahash and then some. So, there is a path, but, a lot of these growth plans, if Bitcoin's at 35,000 at the halving, I don't think Riot's going to be in a rush to get to 35 exahash and spend $1 billion. That probably won't be a plan that makes sense. So, a lot of variables, but there's a bunch of videos that I do want to do. The next one I'm going to get out is cost per coin, direct cost per coin. Iris Energy is going to be the only missing link because they have not reported their June 30th numbers yet. I was hoping that they would do it a little before the deadline. I think September 15th is their deadline to report. But I don't want to wait that long. I'll just add them later. Everybody else that I'm looking at comparing has already put their numbers out. So I think that would be an interesting comparison. So there's a lot of different ways to slice this up. And you guys know I try to do a lot of different charts and graphs and all that stuff. So, I will continue to try to add different ways to look at this. George, are you with us? Are you on another call?
Yeah, no, I'm just listening.
Ryan is saying merger of equals, and I think he's in quotes laughing at that. You know, there's some info out now on what is it, US BTC or whatever they are. I may not be giving the right. It's not a publicly traded company, but they did put out a very comprehensive press release a few weeks ago, or maybe a week ago, whatever it was. So I do think that's worth a read if you haven't read it. That helped explain a lot to me, and arguing exactly 50-50 merger of equals, it's hard for any two companies to be identical, but are they better off together? That becomes the question, right? If they merge, are they both going to be ahead of where they would have been? And if so, then it's probably something that makes sense. We got a lot of people talking PayPal in the comments. PayPal will moon soon, I feel, said Matthew.
What do you think?
PayPal?
Yeah.
I will be. I said next week I am going to start dollar cost averaging into PayPal. So I'm on record. I haven't not yet, and it's been, it's at a price point that I like. I don't think it's going to run straight to the moon. I do think, so that means in the next 30, 60 days. But I do think, if it doesn't double in the next year, I'd be surprised. And that is big, big price action from a company of that size. So that's my expectation. Am I right? You guys can let me know a year from now. But that's my thought process on PayPal. So I think there's a 2x in there. And, 2x's are a big deal. I know we look at these Bitcoin miners and, we've seen 4x's, 5x's. We had a 10x, already this year in one of the Bitcoin miners. But, that's not how the rest of the investment world works. These are, for as much as they did that this year, 2022 was a train wreck. Some of these were down 90%. Some of these were down 99%. So, when you get bigger, more consistent, that PayPal to me is, not quite, but practically a blue chip stock. So when they're beaten down, and this is happening more and more, the overall market is having these bigger swings, which is why there's more and more swing traders. Sometimes these opportunities are they just kind of scream out at you, and nothing's a guarantee. So we'll see what happens, but I think that's a higher probability trade. So I'll be in on it. We'll see how it goes. It sounds like I'm not alone. We're getting a lot of love for PayPal on the stream. Calvin said, Tom's channel rocks. Thank you, Calvin. Very much appreciated. We work hard to bring you guys as much info as we can. And George and I are here twice a week live. So that's a lot of time that I enjoy spending with you guys. I won't speak for you, George, but I think you enjoy it, or you wouldn't do it.
Some days yes, some days no.
Some days are better than others.
Some days it's like a family dinner or like a turkey dinner. Like, oh, brother, not this again.
That is true.
But you know what? We're all family. And my whole thing is, and I just am in shock still that people don't believe it, that I think the NASDAQ's going to get wrecked and that Bitcoin's going to come down with it.
I mean, that's not a crazy theory.
No, I know. I know it's not a crazy theory. I mean, I don't know if, this next September, if they go up on the rates and, he's just playing with fire. That's the problem. And when you play with fire, you get burned. And I'm just, I'm not saying it doesn't need to go up. But, if it goes up again, we got some serious problems with some regional banks that are probably going to go under.
That's where things start to get scary for me. The market is now, I won't say convinced, but I think the market, the market overall can absorb one more rate hike. I think that's one too many. That's my opinion. 2 more rate hikes is, I think, going to be big trouble for regional banks.
Big trouble.
And one might be big trouble. So, it may not take 2. So you may be right. with just one rate hike, George. And, our poll, according to our poll, 65% of you who have voted think that, yes, the Fed is going to raise rates in this next meeting. So
I just think
Pardon me.
we're teetering on this again. It's I hate to say it, but it comes back to failed policies in the United States. You know, unfortunately, energy. I believe the whole thing about our economy is fundamentally backed by oil, whether we like it or not. And if we don't, get oil or have a more strategic control over oil in the United States, we're just fools.
Oil is a part of our energy policy. Our energy policy right now seems to not make sense, in my opinion. It's and we're not, we have people from countries all over the world. So let us know
Right.
what you think is going on in your country. I think there's a lot of countries that made themselves reliant on, other countries that maybe they're not so friendly with, and it's put them in a precarious situation from an energy standpoint. And
Their policy is OPO.
energy is the lifeblood of every single economy on this earth. It's just in everything. No matter what you do, if you buy a
Right.
box of cereal, it had to get from point A to point B. So, that's energy. So it had to
Well,
be produced, et cetera, et cetera.
and why would you think, and I cannot rationally understand it, and I still to this head, I beat my freaking head against a wall when people come at me about drilling oil. It's like, okay, just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. And wouldn't you want it to be closer than farther away? It just doesn't make logical sense.
To me, it's about making sure that,
And think
be-
about this. Texas is having an energy problem right now. No one's talking about it, but Texas is having a major, major electrical problem on their grid.
well, yeah,
And
their
it
grid
could fail
is
this weekend. It could fail this weekend. I know it's crazy to think. No one's talking about it, but it's going to get up to the 100% capacity load. And last time this happened, it failed.
it's happened. They've gotten up to full capacity every single month all summer this year. And here's the hard part about Texas. It also gets cold in the winter. So
Yeah.
they've had the same problem,
And we were looking at land to buy land here in Georgia, looking at, I don't know, 100 acres. And there was a 100-acre solar farm right next door with a humongous mega, I think it was like a 5 kW. I think it was only, no, it was probably a 10, a substation, right? Right across the land. So it ruined the view of the land, okay? And we're in the middle of absolutely freaking nowhere. And you have all these solar panels. All it takes is one good hailstorm and they're all ruined. I mean, look at what happened in Texas.
oh, yeah, that hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, and then they never get the energy efficient. Any of the models that they've used in their numbers, they never work out. They never even come close to working out.
Well,
Sorry.
I think there's a lot more technology improvements that are required for us to get where we're going. And in the meantime, even the number one alternative energy person on the face of this earth, which is Elon Musk, is
Yeah.
on record as saying
Look
fossil
yeah.
fuel oil is the lifeblood of every economy in the world, and no economy can live without it. It's just, that's not one of those things that's an opinion. It's just how the world works.
It's just facts. It's facts.
We can all strive towards a world where someday that's not true. And we hope, some of us may strongly hope that day is sooner than later, but that day is not today.
So it was funny. Well, one day I used to repair garage doors when I was younger. I was probably 15 years ago now, maybe 20. And I was repairing a garage door at a recycle center. And I said, "What's this?" And they go, "Oh, it's a recycle of the bottles in the plastics." I'm like, "Well, I thought it was separated." "Yeah, we just bring it back together." And then, what do you mean? "Well, yeah, we don't really separate them." I'm just like, "Well, why the hell do I separate them?"
Stephen English is telling you, George, try living in Europe.
Oh my God, I would pull my freaking hair out. You don't even want me to go on Europe. I'll start going, and Edmund will get mad at me because it has nothing to do with financial advice. But it has everything to do with financial advice. If we don't educate people that are younger than us, and they think that this world is a utopian society, it's just not. The way you make it a utopian society is working hard.
And you know, I just striving. We can strive for what we envision. First of all, everybody's vision of utopia is probably certainly different, and secondly, it's a journey, not a destination. So all we
No,
can do
it
is keep
is.
trying to get better.
Sorry, that was my little rant. But the whole thing with oil though is it's just the whole thing with Texas and knowing that they're at full capacity and just I don't believe they're at full capacity. I believe what they're telling you is they're at 95% and they're telling you they're at full capacity because they know if they go to a true 100% capacity, it's going to break it again.
Well, in the meantime, each time they're in Texas, each time the grid gets pushed to its limit, Riot is a beneficiary.
Yeah, I know.
So
That's why I want to know how they did it.
somebody somewhere asked me Riot or Marathon. I'm looking for that. I kind of lost my way here. I get lost in these comments, so I apologize if
Riot or marathon? That's the question. I'm a Riot guy personally, not a marathon guy.
So my answer to that is, at the moment, I have a position in Riot. So I have a position in Riot. I had every time I talk to Jason, I get a very good feeling. I have a comfort level in management there. I like what they're doing. But I have to say, Marathon, it's at $10.55. I'm looking to open a position in Marathon. I have owned it in the past. Right? These stocks have had gigantic journeys up and down and up and down. Marathon's the first Bitcoin mining stock I ever bought. Bitfarms is the second Bitcoin mining stock I ever bought. And for me in the United States, I had to buy it over the counter because, it wasn't traded here yet. So those are my first two, ventures into the Bitcoin world. So, I like Marathon. They had a tough 2022. Things are going much better. We're going to talk to Fred on the channel in early September, so we'll get a chance. I plan on opening a position in Marathon. If I miss my window, if next thing I know it's at 14 or 15 bucks, maybe that's not going to be the best opportunity for me. But if I do get a chance here around 10 bucks, I love what they're doing. And to George's point, if Bitcoin goes sideways for the next 3 or 4 years, then, Marathon is going to be... If Bitcoin goes sideways until 2026, Marathon's in big trouble, in my opinion, based on the fact that they have $730 million of debt that will be coming due in 2026. So unlike Riot doesn't have any debt. Their debt is zero. Marathon's debt is at 1%. It's convertible, so I love what they've done financially there. But in the disaster case scenario where Bitcoin just never goes up, right, they got a big bill coming due. So I don't believe in that scenario. I don't, there's no part of me that thinks Bitcoin's going to be, still struggling into 2025 and into 2026. But that's my personal opinion. I'm definitely going to mispronounce this. Minghua said, thanks for all your research on the miners, Tom. Thank you for the comment. And you're welcome. It's my pleasure. Calvin's asking any great crypto conferences to attend in late 2023 and into 2024. We skipped this year's Bitcoin mining conference. Last year we went. I don't think either one of us, George, really loved the conference.
It's just look at to me the Bitcoin conference. I'm sorry, it's just terrible. I mean, this is supposed to be the future. Bitcoin's the future. And it should have the coolest setup ever with the most advanced technology you could ever possibly imagine. from the app to the whole show, it's crap. Sorry, Bitcoin Magazine. It's crap. I would love to sit down. I could design a program that would just be the coolest thing ever. And you got to understand, our attention spans is a minute and a half, you know, and it's more of a trade show than anything now.
I'm glad you used that word because that's exactly how it was set up. It was set up in a convention center pretty much as a trade show. Now, yes, they had a lot of, speakers and that kind of stuff going on simultaneously, but it was at least 50+% trade show.
And remember, this is not cheap. This is expensive.
That's right.
And I was just like, are you kidding me? I actually volunteered at it this year, and I didn't go because I realized that no one cares. You know, I always hate when somebody volunteers and then other people are making money. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Why is it I'm volunteering my time, yet you're charging people? And then they said I had to work 3 shifts in order to have a free pass. I'm like, listen, I'll work 1 shift and then I'll get a free pass. I guess, it's opportunity cost, other people probably, maybe that's their opportunity cost, but that was my opportunity cost. I could do 1 and then, you know what I mean? But once they said 3, and that was the other thing. They wanted me to come and help set up. It's like, dude, do you not know who I am? Freaking the
do you
George
have any
with Tom.
idea?
And I was just like the whole thing, and so I watched it online, and it was disgusting.
Well, I think it's a for-profit event, so I don't see.
Yeah, exactly, a for-profit event, except for the suckers.
A for-profit event.
Yeah, and that was the other thing too that pissed me off. And I actually went. Dude, you got me going now, Tom. I actually went to I had to do training for the conferences, so I would know what to say and how to act. And it was like, are you kidding? This is like child's play. And there's the questions that were asked. I understand why they did, and I understand why they had to do it. But they had the paid people giving the presentation to the non-paid people. That bothered me. I got to take this call, sorry.
Go ahead, take the call. In the meantime, Ryan is having a Bitcoin mining conference in his garage next week to answer Calvin. He's charging $500 a ticket. Calvin at Crypto Craig Miller Miner, that would be great. Darren, not a fan of PayPal. QWERTY, hello, welcome. He's answering something that JD said. I'm not sure. I have to go back and look, but welcome to the stream. I don't know if you've been here all along, but this is the first time I'm seeing your name in the chat. So, Brent, welcome if I haven't said hello as well. Positioning for market crashes is very difficult, easy to miss bull runs doing that. That said, I'm building hedges with options. I don't know if I'm extremely far behind here in the chat. My apologies if I am. Let's see. I'm going to go all the way to the bottom and catch up. Jeff is saying, drill, baby, drill. Crypto Fever. Jeff, that's what I wrote earlier. I thought that could be the death of PayPal if they were fully implemented. Oh, let's see. Jeff, that was in response, not to drill, baby, drill, but that was in response to Jeff saying, I was a long-term holder of PayPal and I liquidated it in March of 2021 and haven't went back to it.
Sorry.
Well, it's a good thing you did because they're pulled way back. Let's take a look at, welcome back, George. Let's take a quick look at PayPal's chart. And
there was somebody, it was about a job down in Naples. The builder's getting kicked off a job because he's taking way too long. They want me to finish it. That's funny.
Huh, great. Well, this is Southwest Florida is not a fun place to build.
No.
So if you got out, Jeff, I hope you got out like right around, let's say here, because it's been pretty ugly since then for PayPal. So, and I'm not expecting a run back to 300. That's not my goal for buying PayPal right now. But you can, just as you can see this double top here and the fact that, you know, this run up was, it's not fair to do it from March of 2020, but because obviously there was a little pullback, but from the bottom to the top, that's 277%. But we've now had, you know, we're now down 80%. PayPal's down 80%. So I'm not looking to get back to 300. That is not the ride that I'm expecting. But you can see even just a year ago, they were over 100. They're at $60 right now. In March of 2022, they were at 120. I think that's a very realistic price target. That's my personal opinion. We will see what happens. But it sounds like Jeff got out at the right time.
Tom, 4 to go.
4 to go to get to our 100 likes.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you, everybody. Much appreciated. Thought we weren't going to get there. Jeff saying, Tom, I pretty much sold a lot of stuff in March of 2021. I sold out during the meme frenzy. That ended the market. Well, your timing was excellent. Darren saying, January 10th, Ultimate ETF deadline. Kathy Wood is first up, not BlackRock. So are you predicting Kathy's going to get hers first? Calvin, is George still buying XRP?
I have not bought XLP again. I built out my position and I have not done anything with it, but I'm in at 33 cents. So
you have neither bought nor sold.
No, I'm not selling. No, heck no. I was gonna sell because I knew it was coming down. I mean, it was so hard not to sell it. I was gonna sell it at like it got to 80 something. I'm like, I should just sell it because you know it's coming back down. But you know what? I don't really care. I don't. Sorry, I shouldn't say this, but I don't need the money. So.
Well, and it was a buy and hold. That's a part of sticking to your strategy.
Yeah, I'm just sticking to it. And if it goes back down below 33, I will double my position.
It's super easy to look back and go, oh, I should have done X, Y, and Z. Well, everybody would be a perfect trader, you know, in hindsight. So if you got a plan, you're sticking to your plan. To me, I think that's the way to do it. Now, if something fundamentally changes, you may have to reevaluate your plan, but I don't think anything fundamentally changed.
I'm sorry, but like I was just looking at POW, ETH POW, which is the ticker is ETHW, and I'm sorry, but I gotta buy some of it.
That's the new.
No, that's the old. It's the last one, not classic. It's the one after.
Yeah, that's the newest one.
Yeah, the newest one that was made. No, yes. It's not ETH. It's not just plain old Ethereum.
It's not Ethereum, which is now stake.
Right.
It's not ETH Classic, which is still proof of work. It's the new Ethereum proof of work that forked.
Yes, yeah.
So that's the one you think is...
Yeah, it was $114, $117, and it's $1.35. And it just seems to me that it's got to have some worth.
So a lot of people giving hate on PayPal.
Yeah, I'm not a big PayPal. wasn't going to say anything.
But
I'm just not a big... Yeah. I'm just not a... My whole thing is, why haven't they done their crypto thing yet?
That's going to be one where we're just going to have to see how it goes. We definitely have some hate on PayPal. I think it's at a good buying opportunity right now. So we're going to know in a year.
I've been really... So since I own my own business, I'm really good at saying my money is in my own personal account, and then my work money is in and I don't even look at the work money as my money, even though it technically is. And then my investment, I don't look at that as real money. Does that make sense? I look at this is how I looked at my investment into crypto. If I ever get any money back on it, I won. I didn't look at it as in oh my goodness, this is going to go to the moon, which I do believe it is. But I look, as soon as I got rid of it, that's why it's good to every week cost average in, because I look at this as an expense that's already gone, not a savings that I've done. It's an expense that's already gone, and this money is made for to as an investment, but it's already gone out of my mind. I hope that kind of makes sense in a way.
It's long-term investment money. It's money
Jeff,
you know
can't
you're
wait to
not
talk to
going
you.
to touch for the next 20 years,
Yeah.
no matter what happens. So, just good night to Jeff. He's out. So thanks for.
Does that at all make sense to anybody? I don't know. So to me, it was like I had it in my checkbook. Now my my checking account. Now my checking account. Now it's in my investment account. It was just an expense. Whatever. And I hope that it's returns as an investment at some point in time. But in my brain, I was like, that money's already gone. So I don't even count it. You know what I mean? That's just how I think.
That's the best way to think if you're a buy and hold long-term investor. It's got to be out of sight, out of mind. Otherwise, you're losing sleep over it, and you're making bad decisions as a function of that.
HUD 8 is doing a 0.02 reverse split. Doing a 0.2 share reverse split. I didn't know that.
Well, I'm not sure what they mean by that. There's no reverse split coming right now. There's a vote on a merger, so nothing's going to happen at the moment on that. So we're going to have to wait and see how that vote goes. Cosmic's saying I'm all in on the miners.
I'm all in on the miners.
Let's end this poll. It's been up for a long time. Will the Fed raise rates? So this group thinks the answer to that is yes. 63%, a majority, not quite. It was a 2/3 majority for a while, but not quite at the finish line here.
1 for 5.
1 for 5 reverse split. So I have not seen anything on a 1 for 5 reverse split other than actually I have not seen anything on that. I know all of the shares will change when and if the merger happens, but is that something they just announced? What's the
It could be why.
Yeah,
I
so
can tell
Andy
you-
is saying that's a part of the merger agreement, but the whole. So I try not to look at reverse splits because it doesn't change anything other than right. It doesn't change the market cap. It doesn't change your percent of the ownership in the company, and things are going to get more complicated than just a straight up reverse split if the merger goes through, right? Because it's a merger of equals. So, that's going to get complicated, but we'll wait and see. So I think that, yes, Cosmic, I think that will be a part of what happens if that merger goes through. I think the merger will go through, my personal opinion.
And yes, Darren.
I don't.
You know what it is I get like I think about it too much. And that's I just have to not do that with stock.
When you invest in the stocks?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've had much more conviction with, XRP. You've really executed your plan on that versus the crypto stocks vex you for some reason.
Well, no, what it is so hard to. It's because I don't think Bitcoin's going up. That's the reason why. Does that make sense? I hope that kind of makes sense. I'm sure it does.
Cosmic said the merge is happening. So I think you're right. Craig is pointing out 101 likes. All right, we made it.
See, I told you gave up too soon, Tom.
Well, thanks
all right,
everybody
welcome to
for
Talking
jumping
Investing.
in. Crypto Fever, been a member for 5 months, is having a member chat, so let's read that. George, at one point it will crash. The question is when. In the short term, as long as the bears continues to support your view, we cannot see new all-time high S&P. So I think Crypto Fever saying that it will crash.
Yeah, I wish it wouldn't.
So I don't know. We'll see. I'm never going to say it will. I'm never going to say it won't. It's wild things happen. Like, who would have thought, today's price action's a perfect example of how it's very hard to predict what's going to happen, right? It's a Friday, which is a typical sell-off day. The Fed came out and said all the bad things that we didn't want to hear, yet the market rallied through all of that. Sour Melon Gaming said, appreciate you, Tom and George. Thank you, Sour Melon Gaming. Much appreciated for all your support as a member and in continuous comments and whatnot.
I'm going to sneak out, guys.
All right,
more than 2 hours.
I think it's time to wrap it up, so I'll do the same. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, George, for spending your time with us. You're welcome.
Thank you for letting me in.
Absolutely. Our pleasure. And thank you, everybody. Thanks to all the members. Thanks to all the subscribers. Everybody, please enjoy your weekend. I know this was not the most fun week in Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners, but better days ahead. All right. Have a good night, everybody.